Hello everyone, the warm greetings from Insight Meditation Center. And for this morning meditation, I'd like to offer you a small technique that works particularly well in meditation and with wisdom works very well in daily life as well. And it's called the one breath reset. One breath reset. And that is, if you find yourself involved in storytelling in your mind, and storytelling means having a conversation with someone, imagining some scenario, remembering some scenario in the past, planning some scenario in the future. Story can be making a story about the meditation itself. That, conclusion, this is impossible, or boy, I'm only 2 breaths away from full enlightenment, or whatever it might be. If you find yourself involved in a story while you're meditating, do the one breath reset. And that is, on the inhale, gently, lovingly, you say the word no. And then finish the sentence on the exhale with the word story. Breathing in, no. Exhaling, story. No story. And the alternative to storytelling, and the reason to use this reset, one breath reset, is we're cultivating clarity in the present moment. Clear awareness, clear attention to the present moment. And for many of us, the anchor, the center of that clarity is being cultivated with breathing. And the simplicity of breathing, the tuning in, becoming clearer and clearer on the body's experience of breathing. And then find yourself in stories. I'm breathing the wrong way. If you're too involved in that kind of idea, it's a story. And then no story. One breath reset. If it helps you, the inhale can be a little bit bigger than usual, and so the exhale and the no story has a little bit more strength to it. But I wouldn't do it too strongly. Just a little bit more emphasis to it, and a little bit kind of like you more wholeheartedly. You're involved in the process of letting go of story as you exhale. So maybe you won't need it today, but if you do, then it can be quite effective, the one breath reset. So to feel your posture that you're in now, before doing any other changes, notice how you are in your body, feeling your body from the inside. And almost as if you're discovering what the body wishes, adjust your posture a bit so your body feels more comfortable, more aligned, but also more supportive of becoming alert and clear here and now. Gently closing your eyes and taking a few long, slow, deep breaths. Breathing in deeply and feeling your body. Exhaling, releasing, relaxing your body. And if you're already involved in story, you might do the one breath reset, a practice that sometimes needs to be done repeatedly. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And is it as if you can get kind of deep inside your body, from the inside out. As you exhale, relax the muscles of your face. On the exhale, softening the shoulders. Releasing the shoulders to the pull of gravity. Maybe there are small adjustments in where your hands are placed that might loosen up your shoulders a bit more. And softening your belly. Releasing the stomach, the belly. And also, as if you can feel deep inside your mind, see if you can relax your mind. On the exhale, softening. On the exhale, as if the mind can become broad and quiet, like the surface of a quiet lake. And then settling awareness into the body's experience of breathing. As if maybe curtains are pulled from the window of the mind, of attention. Let the curtains be pulled so that you can experience breathing more clearly. Know the body's experience of breathing. And then whenever it's useful, do the one breath reset with a no on the inhale and story on the exhale. Be sure to say the words in a relaxed way, gentle way. So that it supports the quieting of the mind, a stilling of the story-making mind. Here. The one breath reset can give the mind and the heart a much needed vacation from storytelling, meaning making, predictions and planning, letting it all go. Reset back to clarity, to this moment. clear our minds enough of stories of other people that we meet. It doesn't negate the stories. Maybe they're accurate, but it gives us a chance to see people freshly, to see how they are now, without seeing them through the filter of how they were or what happened. And it's one of the gifts that's possible to come from meditation or from mindfulness, this ability to reset the mind enough to see people clearly as they are now, and therefore be able to listen to them better, take them in better, more, and know them. This can be for strangers and friends. And the chances are, as we get to know people more clearly and freshly, it's easier to have goodwill. It's easier to feel connected to their humanity, and perhaps there's something we learn through this meditation, some way that we're changed, that we can bring with us to our social interactions, to our concerns and care for people we don't interact with. May we be predisposed to goodwill towards others. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. And may we support that possibility, maybe in the way in which we encounter others. May all beings be happy. So, good morning, and we come to the last day of this 5-part series on aspects of our mind, our mental activity that can be both wholesome and unwholesome, helpful and unhelpful, and because they look similar to each other, it's possible to confuse them, be confused by what part is wholesome, what is wholesome, when it's wholesome and when it's not wholesome, when it's useful and not useful. So today's topic is, in Pali, is the word ditti, and ditti is usually translated into English as views. And views, stories, opinions, philosophies that we have, can be a source of binding, of being bondage, of being caught. But views can also be a source of freedom, setting us free, of wisdom and guidance, helpful guidance in our lives. And so, in Buddhist English, there's a tendency of treating the English word views to refer to unhelpful opinions, stories, philosophies, metaphysical ideas about what's happening here in this world of ours. And because there's a strong tendency of kind of pointing out that views are unhealthy, that sometimes people have the idea they're not supposed to have any understandings, any stories, any interpretations, any wisdom or understanding that guides them in their life, that supports them and is appropriate to have. And but there are these two different possibilities. And so the word ditthi, as it's used in the Pali Suttas, is overwhelmingly used to refer to something like speculative views, to fixed views. And these two things, speculative and fixed, are significant. Speculative means opinions and views about things that we can't know directly. So they're interpretations or stories or about something that, and then fixed views is when we're caught and attached to the view. So being opinionated about our view, meaning this is, holding on, this is the truth, this is how it is. And the fixed views can even be for views, understandings that are healthy, are appropriate in and of themselves, but the way that we hold them, there's suffering involved, there's attachment, there's clinging to the views. I'm right and everyone else is wrong. And so this attachment to our philosophies, our opinions, can be operating whether or not our opinions are accurate. And this is an important thing to consider for those of you who have accurate opinions, accurate ideas of what's going on, accurate stories and of what happened, is that the way you hold those can be a source of suffering for yourself and to others when there's an insistence and a dogmatic attachment to it. So a lot of Buddhist practice is about overcoming the speculative views, dogmatic views that are speculating about the nature of reality, nature of the human being, nature of our life, nature of liberation, and discovering how to have the views, the understandings that come out of seeing something directly, to having direct experience for oneself. When we first get introduced to Buddhism, maybe, that we take a little bit the teachings, the ideas, maybe even the philosophies, a little bit on faith, enough faith that we're willing to do the practice. But it's provisional faith, it's provisional view, and we understand this is provisional. I've reasoned it out, it seems like this is the best, pretty good, but let's now find out. And the idea is that we're moving in the direction of insight, where our understanding comes from direct experience for ourselves. And so what we don't know yet from personal experience, that is taken on provisionally as something that we can discover for ourselves. So you can use a little bit of reflection to think about philosophies, views, religious thought, ideas, metaphysical ideas that might be attractive and seem right to you, but you might realize I can never prove it for myself. And so this is maybe outside the reach of direct experience and direct sensory experience. And so if you want to hold on to that, then you know that you can't discover this for yourself. Whether it's true, it becomes an article of faith. In what we're looking for in Buddhism are those understandings, those views that we believe can be verified for ourselves. We can discover for ourselves. And so something simple as the idea, the story that if you cling, you will suffer. And if that clinging is released, the suffering is released as well. That is something that belongs to the area of direct experience. It might not be easy to experience, but it is something that with time we can start seeing how that works. Oh yeah, in fact, I was clinging and then I suffered. Before I clung, there was no suffering. So a big thing that Buddhism teaches is that all our experiences are inconstant. And this is a kind of central tenet held up high as a very important, but it's meant to be an insight that we can verify for ourselves. And so the view of life that we get through practice is a view that's built on this deeper and deeper appreciation of how things are changing all the time, impermanent, inconstant. And with time we see how this insight has a liberating quality, how freeing us up from the idea of constancy or the idea of permanence, the idea of fixity, makes us much more malleable and fluid and adaptable to all the changes that go on all the time in life. There's a view in Buddhism that there is no self. There's that view that people sometimes advocate. It's not actually what the Buddha taught. And with some reflection, maybe you can appreciate that maybe you can't really discover that there is no self. How would you know that? What the Buddha focused on is what you can know for yourself. And what you can know is that particular things in your experience don't qualify as a definition of who I am. And this is myself. So, and how, so the movement is to see what in our experience that I took as myself that is not really how I fundamentally am. That actually to hold on to that is a kind of suffering. It is kind of a wind drag that slows me down. And that not to identify with that is actually more freedom and more ease in my life. But it's always something particular. And as practice gets deeper and deeper, all the particulars in our life are seen as not self. But it's not an idea that there is no self, but it's also not the idea that there is a self. The philosophy idea of what is and is not a self, that's considered a speculative view that we don't get involved in. What we get involved in is what we can see directly and know for ourselves. So in the understandings, the views that come from insight, that come from direct experience, those we rely on in practice. They can give a sense of purpose, a direction to our lives. They can guide our lives in a certain way. When we see clearly that there is a possibility to suffer less, we see it's possible to let go of clinging. It's possible to see below the fixed views that we have, the interpretations we have, and see things more directly for ourselves. This can be a powerful inspiration and motivation to continue on this path of freedom in our direct experience, and not to get hung up in speculative philosophies which maybe we can never ascertain for ourselves directly. And if there are philosophies that we can ascertain for ourselves directly some way, then if we're motivated, we can go and practice to see how we can discover that for ourselves. The Buddha said once that in describing his teaching, he said, I just point out the way. It's up to you to walk the path. And so appreciating what we can discover through a direct experience that shows us what that path is that we walk. So we can get wrapped up, caught up in opinions and stories and views and philosophies about how things are, or we can have kind of understandings, philosophies, even stories that point to freedom beyond stories, that point us to how to be free here in the direct experience, opening up to what's really here in a deeper way, and then discovering the stories that are possible in direct experience, in really seeing clearly what's here. And one of those stories is the stories of freedom. the stories of moving from suffering to the freedom from suffering, the story of happiness and living a clear life, clarity and release. And that's a story that's worth living. And maybe we can share that story with each other, stories of what we discover in being free. So thank you. And I hope you have for those of you in the United States, I hope you have a wonderful 3-day weekend. I'll be back here Monday, as usual, even though it's a holiday. And some of you might be away. And so I wish you well. And in the meantime, you might, over this weekend, look a little bit about the role that views, stories, opinions have for you personally, and see if you can discern the difference between the views, stories, interpretations that you're caught in and those that you're not caught in. Those which are helpful to see more deeply into our direct experience with ourselves and other people, and those stories that obscure a real insight into what's happening here and now. So, thank you.